First of all, I want to address the dismissal, relieving of duties of Brandon Hyde from Saturday. A very difficult decision about a very good man, very good baseball man. I want to emphasize and recognize the tremendous contributions and success that he supplied to this organization, starting from a low point at the end of 2018 organizationally, helping us build up a great talent base, getting the team back to playing great baseball, getting the team to the playoffs, an American League East title. It's a tremendous accomplishment for which he deserves a ton of credit forever, and we want to thank him for that, and we'll miss him very much. As pertains to the decision in pro sports and team sports, there come times where the go forward look at things involve different voice and a head coaching change to receive that voice, and ultimately stretching back into early last summer, this is a team that we feel has been collectively and individually to varying degrees underperforming its talent level, and we want something new in order to hopefully restore them to the level of play that we expect of ourselves and we think that this team is capable of. So again, this is in no way an indictment or a comment on the quality of one individual's work or their talents, and this is not something that I put on one coach, but we're hoping that part of the solution to fixing this team will be achieved and sought with different head coaching voice, and so we've done that.
Was there ultimately a moment, either in a game or a voice, that changed between the May 2nd vote of confidence to the final decision?
This is something that you don't decide upon in a moment. I think the very nature of sports, when those questions are getting posed to executives or owners, it's when there are open questions about people's jobs. It tends to happen, and it's important for in this business for people in these positions to have the confidence of their bosses and their leaders while they're in those positions. But ultimately, I think this is something that as we look at our underperformance, we decide to make the move to pursue a different coaching voice and try to get these players back on track, because this has been really frustrating. This is a really good group of players, and these young position players have played so well for so long together, and we haven't seen that to the degree that we want for a while now.
Mike, was this your decision, ownership decision, or a mix of both?
Yeah, this is something that I execute as the general manager, but when you're making a decision as grave as changing the manager or the head coach, that's something that you consult with ownership on very heavily, and I did.
Given how seismic a decision this is, why'd you wait 3 days to speak publicly about it?
It's a pretty hectic few days. Got Tony in place and traveled up here with the team, and I just needed a couple days.
Mike, with the thinking that at this point in the season was a time to make a decision like this, why manager versus another coaching staff change?
I think that the decision to change a manager is a serious one, and once you arrive at that conclusion, it's best to do it for all parties' sakes as soon as possible. As I said, that's a position where you require full-throated support and confidence from above, and to persist without that state, it's not good. But we are in the process. I think just stepping back a little bit, this has been really tough. You go back to last June, we were on top of the sport in almost every facet of the sport, including majors and minors. And now we find ourselves where we find ourselves, and this has been hitting us all very hard, but it's unusual for that to be so sudden. And I'm in the process of very heavily evaluating everything that we do across the organization that pertains to the front office, analytics department, player development, you name it. We're looking at it very hard, but to our credit, this is something that has not been lingering for years and years. This is something that has mounted in months, and it's been very tough on those of us in leadership positions in the organization, but we're focused on fixing it right now. But I think the main focus is trying to stabilize this team, improve the play on the field, and get this core of players back on track.
We talked about how productive these position players have been in 2023-24. From your perspective, what has been missing this year that's caused the drop in production hitting?
That's been a question that a lot of us have been asking to each other a lot for several months now, and if we had fixed it already, we would have fixed it already. So it's very important to this organization that it's priority number one, that our guys, our players play the way that they're capable of individually, but play the way that they're capable of together in the way that we saw in 2022, 2023, and the early part of 2024. And that is our main focus, in addition to just kind of stabilizing the day-to-day play here on the field, which we're still trying to do.
Why Tony for the interim role, and will he be considered for the job permanently?
Looking at our internal options, because this is not a time of year when you make external options easily. Tony had the combination of a lot of major league coaching experience, but also minor league managerial experience, and so that made him the best candidate in my mind.
How concerned are you about just the overall lack of major league experience on this coaching staff and ability to lead this team forward?
It's a young staff. That's something that I'm aware of. There's a relative inexperience, but it's a very talented group. A lot of major league playing experience in the group, and a lot of good baseball intellect in the group. So I'm working with these guys every day, trying to figure out and troubleshoot what we can do to get these guys playing better.
Given the ownership group being outspoken in search of a World Series title, do you feel that a poor start to the 2025 season puts your position in consideration for the future?
I am worried about getting this team back on track right now. I'm very disappointed with where we are in the standings right now. I mean, this is a big surprise to all of us that we're in the spot that we're in. I think you look at the preseason media predictions and things like that, projections, and there's nobody that saw this to this degree. So we're pretty stunned about that, but we're reacting to it. We're not in denial about it, and I'm working to fix it as rapidly as I can, and I'm in a position where, regardless of how it affects me or my personal situation, I have to make decisions that I judge in collaboration with my bosses and the people around me to be in the best interest of the Baltimore Orioles franchise. So that's what I'm doing.
Who initiated the conversation about this decision? Was it you? Was it ownership? Was it a collective conversation?
I don't think I want to get into too much detail about that, but it's certainly not something that I'm firing off all by myself.
Sure. How confident are you in your ability to lead this team forward? You've taken responsibility for your role in this team's start. Are there things that you're working to correct from last offseason?
I have had a lot of success, I believe, in my career, and I think that we did a really strong job in building up the franchise, the position that it was in, at least through the end of 2024, and a lot of infrastructural aspects behind the scenes. And I think a big point of pride for me throughout my career has been the ability to adapt in a sport where you've got to do that, and where it's almost impossible to have consistent success. But what we're going through right now and the degree to which we're going through it is well below anyone's standards, including mine, and this is deeply disappointing to me, and I'm doing everything in my power to correct and improve it going forward.
As you mentioned, removing one man is not a silver bullet, to fix everything. Blame does not fall on one person's feet. What other changes do you think need to be made organizationally to help turn around the season?
Well, it's something that I'm paying a lot of attention to right now, and I not something I'm going to hold a press conference about, but we are working on it. Some of it's just individualistic, and hey, let's do something different with this player. Other things I think will involve perhaps sweeping changes to the way that we do business in the warehouse. I'm just not ready to go into it all right now.
At this point, do you feel like you, as in the collective you and the Orioles, can still salvage this season?
Yes, I think we need to play much better baseball ahead of this season. I think a big part of that is going to be this team hasn't been like fully healthy for almost a year. I don't know that it ever will be or that any team can expect to be, but we have perhaps the league leading amount of injuries right now. We need to get some of that back. I do think, we don't have our head in the sand about our offensive struggles, but some of these guys are just hitting the ball really hard to other spots, and hopefully that evens out. At this point, we've dug quite a hole, but there's plenty of time to play better baseball. We'll see where the standings end up. To me, my focus is kind of getting the quality of play, and in particular, our main guys that we cherish so much, getting them gelling in the way that we all became accustomed to.
To what extent do you, I think I kind of know the answer already, but to what extent do you view this as purely underperformance, and to what extent do you look at it that there are shortcomings maybe on the roster that prevented from reaching expectations that were set maybe at the beginning of the year?
I think I've been pretty clear that, our pitching staff, our starting pitching staff, it's been a huge problem. And I've put that on myself in the front office in terms of roster construction. The position player group, again, we haven't had perfect health. Things aren't perfect. But this was a universally lauded group that had had a lot of success. And, there's underperformance happening there, and that's something that we need to address via player development, via coaching, via analytics, advanced scouting, what player improvement, let's call it. So there's only you can't address roster stuff in season in May that easily, so we're focused on that category right now.
What would you have wanted to see more from Brandon to maybe have prevented this decision from happening, or was it purely just based on the number of wins and losses his team has?
I think we saw a ton from him over the years, and again, I want to emphatically credit the wonderful job that he did and the skill set that he has that I'm sure is going to continue him in a fantastic career. I think it's very endemic to sports after a certain number of years, certain group of players, the go-forward fit. Sometimes organizations try something different, and that's what this was.
So you think the team needed a new voice?
Yeah, ultimately, that's the conclusion that we reached.
What was your message to this clubhouse on Saturday when you announced the decision to the team?
It was, a pretty somber, difficult decision, and I was very brief in addressing them and informing them of the decision, and the fact that we were disappointed with where we were, and that I wanted them to focus on themselves and their teammates and playing together and having fun together and letting the rest happen, and that those of us in leadership positions in the organization will be doing our best to figure out ways to improve and support them going forward.
Why did you decide after 4 starts to DFA Kyle Gibson?
Just didn't work out, and it was a guy that we'd had a great history with, had a lot of trust in from 2023. At the end of spring training, we were in dire need of a starting pitcher option. We'd had injuries to Grayson, to Suarez right there at the end, McDermott and Rogers. Kittredge hurt on the bullpen side. I may even be forgetting some of the injuries that happened during spring training. Kyle was still available. We had a lot of trust in him. And I know the hazards that occupy a guy that skips spring training. I was aware of that, but we decided to take a chance with him, and I do think the lack of spring hurt him, and it just didn't work out, and we needed to make a roster move, and that's where we landed.
Cognizant of giving proper runway to young players as they kind of make this leap from AAA to the major leagues. Given where this team is right now, does it change the way you approach that at all in terms of maybe giving a guy an extended opportunity when in past 2 years there was less margin for error maybe for a player to learn on the go?
I think right now, short term, our focus is very much on this group that's up here on this field here in Milwaukee, and we're going to continue to try to win games on a nightly basis with this group. And but certainly we've got players in AAA with big names that we have not given extended runway to at the major leagues, and we want to be careful to do that when the timing's right. And in terms of our player development philosophies and our debuts, that's something that we've had success with, but I am reviewing everything about what we do.
How close is Grayson Rodriguez to throwing at this point?
He's very close to throwing. His return is still not something that I want to script out with a date, and it's something that, given that he had an elbow injury and a lat injury in the same calendar year, we don't want to rush. So it's not something to script out right now, but he is throwing very soon.
Are there any updates on Jordan Westberg?
Yes, I don't want to announce a return date. I don't think it's going to be before the end of this month, but I do hope that it's going to be very early next month.
With all the decisions you just laid out for us, is that a very similar decision in Tim Cousins also being dismissed?
Yeah, Tim, just a wonderful contribution in terms of helping to build a winning culture here, getting people to work together. There's just so much I could say about what these guys did. We brought them in together, and I think it made sense to make that change in conjunction as such. Thank you.
Thank you very much.